few more words about the ways and means of the gospel is that it's a work that's proclaimed. Here's the critical part of it. None of us saw Jesus rise from the dead. None of us saw Jesus ascend to heaven. In fact, there were no human eyes that saw him rise. There were 12 sets of eyes that saw him ascend up into glory, but only 12. And so the Lord has arranged things just so that for you to believe what he's done, you've got to hear from somebody else. You've got to hear a message, and you've got to believe. So the ways and means of the gospel is a report that has to be believed. Of course, just the word itself means good news. We hear that a lot. The gospel means good news. But the news it has to be of something that's been accomplished. It's something that's been done. It hasn't been halfway done. It's not just a hope that maybe this will turn out to something. It's good news of something that is done. It's accomplished. The angels are rejoicing over it. They long to look into it, and men are being saved. It's good news. It's a report. It's announcing what God has done. It's declaring what he has accomplished. God is victorious over flesh, over sin, over the devil. It's a report that's gone out. What is accomplished? Here's some examples of this. On the day of Pentecost, Acts chapter 2, Peter simply reported what Amos prophesied of. It was a report. Joel, yes, thank you. He reported it. This is that which was spoken of. And then he connected that prophecy of Joel back to the betrayal and crucifixion of Christ. That was the message. That was the sermon. It wasn't wrought and filled with instructions and commandments and meticulous points to obey. It was a message. Joel said this. Jesus did this. God raised him from the dead. And then they said, men and brethren, what must we do? It was a report. Stephen did the same thing later in the book of Acts. He summarized the history of the Jews, starting from Abraham. He hit all the high, glorious points of the history, ended up at Jesus, and then accused them of being just like the prophets. That was the preaching of the gospel. Paul did the same thing later in chapter 13 in Antioch. When in the synagogue there in Antioch, the ruler of the synagogue said, if you have any exhortation for the people, say on. And Paul seized the opportunity, and he summarized the history of God's working with the Jews. He summarized it, and he just reported it. And I got to think that a lot of those people already knew it. He was telling them what they already knew, but he reported it, connected it to what God did in Jesus, and that was the gospel. So the ways and the means of the gospel is hearing what God's done. Another example of this that I've thought of often is that the articles of the Old Covenant, being the Ten Commandments and Aaron's rod that budded and the golden pot of manna, were hid in the Ark of the Covenant. God hid them, so all the people couldn't just go look at it. This is the table of the covenant. Is this not a crucial document, a stone document? It's a crucial document. And then the rod that budded, God made the rod to bud to indicate that he had chosen Aaron to serve him in the tabernacle and in his lineage later in the temple, and he hid him in the ark so nobody could see him. So you had to be told. You know what's in that ark? It was a message. And the new covenant's the same way. Nobody saw Jesus rise. Nobody saw Jesus ascend. We've got to be told. And that's the message of the gospel.